It is about the conditions in these neighborhoods, from public space and housing to policing and schools, and the efforts that residents and their allies make to change them. It is also about the unintended effects of those changes. Success summons failure, as gentrification displaces the people who suffered through the neighborhood at its worst and work so hard to make it better. And finally, it is about what we can do to prevent this from happening. I write about neighborhoods rather than communities because people belong to many communities, but most of us live in only one place. In cities, we call that place a neighborhood. When we ask whether the place that people call home can be transformed but not destroyed, we are asking about their neighborhoods. This is particularly true in Providence, which is divided into 25 neighborhoods that define how residents describe where they live. People tend to say they live or grew up in, for instance, Olneyville, Mount Pleasant, or Smith Hill. Communities, by contrast, embrace much more than a place. In no particular order, I am a husband, a father, a lawyer, a professor, a Jew, an Italophile, a long-distance cyclist, and doubtless a few others that escape me right now, all of which provide me a connection to different communities. I'm also a U.S. citizen who lives in Ithaca, New York. Some of my communities provide a connection to a place, but most do not. And what is true for me is true for most people. But why Olneyville? I was asked again and again during my research how I came to write about a small neighborhood of roughly 7,000 people in a mid-sized city in the smallest state in the country. Yet, Olneyville was the perfect choice for a book that asks whether neighborhood transformation must give way to destruction. Its compact size, about half a square mile, made it easy to navigate by car or on foot. I could, and often did, crisscross the neighborhood many times in a single afternoon. What's more, the neighborhood's boundaries are almost identical to the boundaries of the census tract in which it is located. So that data available from the Census Bureau are a close proxy for the neighborhood itself. This allowed me to track changes in the neighborhood over time, which is especially important when we ask about encroaching gentrification and displacement. In addition, the current approach to neighborhood well-being nationwide has had enviable success in Olneyville. As a result, the neighborhood shows us not just the potential of the model, but its limits as well. If the current approach cannot save a distressed neighborhood, even when it works as well as can be hoped, what chance does it have as a nationwide strategy? Finally, and most importantly, Olneyville makes a perfect case study because the damage is not yet done. In many places, gentrification and displacement have advanced so far that talking about saving the low-income neighborhoods that once existed there is pointless. They have been destroyed. But these forces are still in their early stages in Olneyville. We still have time to make a difference. In this, Olneyville is again representative. Skyrocketing costs in New York, Boston, San Francisco, and Washington, D.C. have shifted the debate about gentrification and displacement into smaller cities that were once considered immune to the pressures of the back-to-the-city movement. Neighborhoods in places like Nashville, Durham, North Carolina, and Denver are the new battlegrounds. Unless we change course, that battle will be lost. Neighborhoods like Olneyville can transform themselves. The people who live there do not have to settle for boarded-up houses and broken lives, as if despair were a law of nature in a low-income neighborhood. Nor does positive change have to pave the way for low-income residents to be pushed out. Neighborhoods in this country can be safe, viable, and affordable. But the transformation will not happen unless distressed neighborhoods wield tools that empower residents and bind capital. The present approach to neighborhood well-being will not supply those tools. We have to create them. 1. Today was a good day. When Yuseli Mendoza was in college, she began each weekday morning with a walk through Olneyville. At 8:05, she and another woman donned bright yellow jackets and set out from the corner of Salmon Street and Manton Avenue, across the street from Sanchez Liquors and a vacant, weed-choked lot. They followed a route that meandered through the neighborhood, stopping along the way to pick up school children who walked